In this video, we're going to talk about integration by parts, right? But first, let us look at how integration by parts formula is related to product rule. Okay, so if we recall, product rule is actually like this, right? D, U, V, right? So U and V, they are basically product of two different functions, equals to U times dV plus V times du. Okay, so let's rearrange this a little bit. So U dV is equals to d uv minus v du, right? So if you integrate everything, okay, so this integral and this derivative will neutralize each other, okay, and then you're going to get this, right? So this is just uv minus integrate v du. Okay, so if you notice, this is the by parts formula, right, for integration. Okay, so how are we going to use this formula, right? So let's go through some examples and I'll show you how to use it. Okay, so let's go to the next page first. Okay, so I'm just going to write the formula again. Okay. Example 1. Let's say I have a integral of x times sine x. Okay. So when we use integration by parts, right, is normally for product of two different functions, right? When you're asked to integrate the product of two different functions, such as x times sine x, right? So they are considered two different functions. You wouldn't normally use by parts if they are the same function, right? So for example, like integrate x squared, right? You wouldn't want to split it into x times x, right? It just doesn't make sense. Okay, so normally we use it for this kind of scenario. Okay, so now before we do the integration, we have to identify, okay, so which one is dv and which one is u, right? Because we're trying to use the formula here, right? U dv. So one of them is dv and one of them is u. Okay, so how do we identify that, right? Successfully. Okay, so there's actually this LIATE to help us. Okay, so what is L? Right, L stands for logarithm, and I stands for inverse trigo. A stands for algebra. Okay, so algebra meaning it could be a constant, it could be x, it could be x squared, or you could just call it polynomials in general, right? And T stands for trigo, and E stands for exponential. Okay, so this hierarchy helps us to determine which one should be dv, right? So in general, dv should be the one that is easier to integrate. Okay, so you have to compare, right? So x and sine x, which one is easier to integrate, right? To some, maybe both are equally easy. But if you look at this list, it will be able to help you to decide. Okay. So E, okay, from the bottom, this is the easiest to integrate. Okay. So rather it is the first choice for dv. Okay, and then it goes up. Okay, so if you compare x and sine x, x belongs to algebra. Okay. And sine x belongs to trigo. Right. So according to this hierarchy, trigo is easier to integrate than algebra. Right. So we should assign dv to sine x. Okay. Okay, so this sine x should be our dv. Okay, and x should be our u. Okay, all right, so let's apply the formula. Okay, so when you integrate this, you get uv. So uv is x, right? And v is, okay, dv is sine x, so v is the integral of sine x, right? What's the integral of sine x? It's negative cosine x. Okay, minus integrate v du, right? So du is differentiate of x, which is just 1, right? Okay, and v is again negative cosine x, right? So I'm going to just neutralize the negative here. So this will become a plus sine x, right? So remember to put the dx here. So if you simplify this, you're going to get negative x cosine x plus integral of cosine is sine. Okay, and then plus c, right? So this is how we integrate. Okay, and this is how we use integration by parts. Okay, so that's the first example, right? Let's look at the second example. Okay, let's call it number 2. Okay, so let's say we're asked to integrate ln x. Okay, so you might be wondering, okay, so this is ln x, right? It's just one function, right? But earlier I mentioned that is used when you are asked to integrate a product of two different functions, right? But this is only one function here. Okay, so there's a hidden function actually, right? That hidden function is 1. Okay, so now let's look at the hierarchy again, right? 1 belongs to algebra and ln x belongs to logarithm, right? So that's the worst choice for dv. Okay, so we will not let logarithms be dv. So instead, I'm going to let 1 be dv. Okay, and then ln x would be our u in this case. Okay, so applying the formula, uv, right? uv. So v is integral of 1, which is x, and u is just ln x. Okay, minus integrate v du, right? So this is x times differentiate ln x will be 1 over x, right? Okay, so this is x ln x, and this will be minus integral of 1, which is just going to be x. Okay, so this is x ln x minus x plus c. Okay. Okay, let's look at one more example. Okay, so let's say we have an exponential and a trigo. Okay, so normally when we have an exponential and trigo, we have to do integration by parts twice. Okay, so we'll see how we do it soon. Okay, so again, as usual, the first step is to determine which one is dv, right? So we can see that we have a ex, like e to the power of x is the best choice for dv. So let's assign this dv. And your sin x would be our u. Okay. Okay, so uv would be sin x times v is the integral of e to the power of x, which is still e to the power of x. Okay, minus integrate v du, right? So v du. So v is still e to the power of x, and du will be cosine x, right? Okay, so you see here, right, we have another integral of a product of two different functions, right? So we can apply the by parts again here. Okay, so as usual, right, ex will be our dv, and cosine x will be our u. Okay, so let's apply integration by parts here. Okay, so this is ex sine x minus, okay, so integrate this is uv, right? So uv is still ex cosine x, okay, minus integrate v du, right? When you differentiate cosine x, it should be negative sine x, so this will be a plus. Okay, so let's simplify this. Okay, so we don't have to apply integration by parts again here, right? Because if you notice, this looks the same as the original question. So I'm going to bring it over to the left-hand side. Okay, and then you have 2 times integral of ex sine x. Okay, and that will be equals to, I'm going to factorize out the ex. This is sine x minus cosine x, all right? Okay, and then I'm going to multiply by half throughout, right? So when you integrate ex sine x, you get half times e to the power of x sine x minus cosine x. And then don't forget about plus c. All right, so yep, that's all.